She had confidence striking out the gate, ate a jab, and I just think she was a deer in the headlights after that. I think she relived what happened last time and just couldn't get going. And to Chael's point, I thought she might be able to make improvements in this time. Hey, there's time to make improvements out there, and there was just no improvements, no moving your head off the line. She ate punch after punch, just could not grab her, couldn't get within grab and reach. And eventually the ref had to jump in and save her.
She needed one of these. That's what happened is we got the helmets here at the desk. Look, Gil nailed it. We wondered early on, would Ronda be able to get to the clinch? The relevance of the clinch is she has to get through Amanda's hands and feet, what's so scary, what she failed to do at Ronda Rousey, what she failed to do against Holly Holm. Will she be able to get in there, walk through the fire, get into that dangerous area, and get to where she needs to be? And the answer was no. As soon as she got even close to that, she took a couple shots right down the middle. Her head was bouncing. Look, she looked slow. She looked like a fighter with ring rust. In fairness, this is not to kick her while she's down, but what I saw was a slow fighter with poor reactions that was hesitant, that was not ready to get into the clinch and do what needed to be done, and she came in second.
Does that sound accurate to you?
That's actually accurate right there, and I was just very disappointed. There was no head movement at all, just very linear, just straight here, so straight punches down the middle. She did the perfect tactic that Holly Holm did, except a little more vicious, right down the middle.
We were having a conversation, fellas, earlier when you came in, and we were talking about the idea that, and the analogy I was making is that coaches come here, right, and they get used to how comfortable this seat is, and they get very well paid to sit here, and they don't have to deal with winning games to make the playoffs. And what I'm getting at is that they transition into a different line of work where they just don't have the fire to be in the fire. Is this the type of thing where Ronda Rousey she got beat, she got shook, and then she lost the will to be what she appeared to be? Does that make any sense at all?
I think that that's very fair. That's what it appeared to be. Listen, she was riding very high, but in truth, the division was forming. And as much as the media had created this, I can remember 14 months ago before her first loss, we were having talks that she could beat Floyd Mayweather. Now, as absolutely as insane as that is, the media was perpetuating it. What I didn't know about Ronda, and I say this as a personal friend of hers, what I didn't know is that she was so tied to her career, that her worth as a human being, that her value was so tied to her career. And when she lost that championship, she went to a very dark place that she publicly talked about. And I was very surprised to realize Ronda is a lifelong competitor. This is competition, but the rest of life is what goes on outside of those 25 minutes once every 3 months. So I was very surprised about that. But to your point, this is about psychology. This is about the psychology of Ronda Rousey. And I can tell you physically, when you step away from something, particularly in a forming division, she rose to the top, but there wasn't very many women doing it. That has changed. The landscape has changed in the last calendar year. And now we're starting to see it. Not only did she lose, the person that she beat or lost, that person lost, and now Amanda Nunes stands there. It has been musical chairs for that championship, and she's just not there anymore.
And not to take anything from Amanda Nunes, but I do believe it is that human nature thing. You know, she was comfortable. She did get the movie. She did get the big money. She did reach her goals, and then you lose. It's very hard to bounce back from that, and that's where she had a lot of mental baggage coming into here. And when she got hit the first time, didn't look like the first time when she got hit with Holly. She still kept in. Once she got hit, she just turned into a different person.
Gil, it was like she remembered. It was like she had I almost saw it because I've done it. I think she had a flashback of what happened with Holly, and boy, she got scared. I mean, her body froze up.
Yes.
She wasn't firing back. She wasn't bobbing and whipping. She froze, Gil, and she was just waiting for the worst to come.
Exactly.
And it did.
And you speak about the money, and we were talking about this earlier. Your reaction to the fact that the $3 million that she was getting, as opposed to the $100,000 that the champ got, that was surprising to you that was shared with folks. Why? Why was that surprising?
Well, it's never been made public before. The way the UFC works, and Dana White, the president of the UFC, has been called every bad name in the world. He's been called greedy. He's all sorts of things, when the truth is he's never been greedy. He's always been shelling out the money. He just protected the athletes. He believed from watching NFL players, Major League Baseball players, basketball players, that when their family and friends found out how much they were making, all of a sudden they're picking up the tab everywhere, and life isn't so great. So he protected his athletes, even though it cost him his own reputation. People called him the worst names, when the truth was he was always spreading the wealth. He was always sharing. What's different about today, though, is they are now disclosing that. Usually they would keep that private. They've now disclosed. Ronda Rousey got $3 million, and the controversy was that her opponent, who is the champion, got $100,000, when the reality is Ronda's the one people tuned in for.
Hold that thought for a moment, guys. We got to get to a quick break. We'll step aside for a moment. We'll get more thoughts on you. I think the biggest question is this it? I mean, and I'm going to get your answer on that. Ronda Rousey in Las Vegas, Amanda Nunes, the champ who got paid $100,000 to Rousey's $3 million. and it's the same outcome as her last fight. And you think about how shaken and how rocked she was emotionally, Chael Sonnen and Gilbert Melendez with us the last time, and now it's happened again. The natural question from the novice, and I think from the experts, and you're the experts, is she done? Does this effectively end her career?
I think so. I think the way she went out twice in a row, I think, and how she made no adjustments and no improvements in this fight. You know, I got to give some of the blame to her coaching staff as well. I feel like there was no adjustments whatsoever. She got hit once, and it broke her apart, and I don't think she's going to be able to recover from this.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the psychology here is actually a lot of fun. I've seen other athletes do it. Anderson Silva from our sport of MMA did this. When an athlete is on top, they will always talk about, this could be my last one. I could walk away. What they really want is for people to beg them to stay. Oh, we need you. You're the greatest. The sport wants you. Once you go on a losing streak, nobody's begging you to come back. All of a sudden, the athlete becomes a lot more willing to get in there and participate. The athlete starts saying, hey, I want to do this again. So let's see what happens with Ronda. There is a domino effect when she gets beat. When she lost her first fight, they canceled 2 of the movies she was supposed to. One of them was a remake of Roadhouse where she was going to portray a bouncer. So she kind of needed to have this allure of this tough person. So when that happened, but you get it. Look, her career is all tied together. I think after 2 losses, I think going away probably is the right thing to do. But historically speaking, the athletes that say they want to leave really just want to be begged to stay.
And it's so hard in any sport. My friend and colleague Mike Tirico would always say this, to get the dismount right. In other words, very few. John Elway, you win a Super Bowl and you leave. It's so hard to do that. Barry Sanders just said, I'll see you later, and never came back. But no one wants to walk away getting mopped not once but twice. So I don't know how, and you guys would know better than I because you've done this, but I don't know how you walk away with the taste of your own blood in your mouth.
Yeah, it's a very good question, but I don't know how you come back from getting defeated twice like that. You know, and again, she went in hiding for like 6 months. She was depressed. I mean, she told the media and expressed how hard it was her just to get back out of the house and be in the public. I don't see how she recovers from this. And again, a lot of fighters do come back, but when you're getting paydays like this, I think, you know, she'll be comfortable staying home and under the radar for a little bit.
And guys, you know what I see as the problem? So let's talk about what you brought up earlier. $3 million is what her guarantee is. So Gil, if she's going to get $3 million, you got to put her in a main event. If she's going to main event coming off of 2 knockout defeats that were devastating, who do you put her with? Who do you put her with to justify that paycheck that you also think could change from her having a 3-fight loss streak? And I don't have the answer to that.
And you'll forgive my ignorance, but and you point out that this is, she benefited as this division was forming, correct?
Correct.
She was a star as this was all sort of coming together. And now not once but twice, I think it leads to a question, and jump on me if you disagree. Was this all fraudulent? Was this make-believe? Was who she was a byproduct of what people wished she was as opposed to what she really is?
The media created this sensation. This is a fantastic athlete, 2-time Olympian, brought a medal home for this
but different discipline.
Absolutely. Totally fantastic. What the media had done, and to put her, you know, the greatest athlete of all time and, you know, the once in a lifetime. I'm sitting back looking at her going, look, in fairness, and again, this is a personal friend, but in fairness, the sport of judo, which she came from, has 0 success in MMA. She is the one and only that's ever succeeded, ever had a title, ever made it to a title fight, ever made it to contention to get into a title fight. It is not an effective art for mixed martial arts. So I'm looking at the skill set, and I'm going, look, this is tough to buy. I'm looking at what the media is saying. I'm going, we've got a real marketing gem here. Let's ride this horse into the ground.
No, I feel like she did beat some solid opponents. And I think
I want to be careful in how I frame this. I'm not saying that it's all make-believe, but I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just want to make sure I'm giving proper respect.
No,
I think it's a legitimate question that you
absolutely.
wonder.
And not at all. You know, and I do think she beat those girls, and she had the mystique, and she had the confidence. But if you go back and she runs those fights back against these girls she's beat, against the girl she is now, the lady she is now, knowing how to beat her, the blueprint is out. I think half the ladies that she beat, Kat Zingano being one of them who charged out right after, would have the same success as Holly Holm and Amanda Nunes had tonight.
Is it a little bit like the Tyson mystique where once you see a guy go down, you realize, oh, wait, that you can take that person out?
That's exactly how I see it. And not only for the fighters that are fighting her, also for the person who just got defeated. You know, I think that's the main thing was she got hit, and it all came back to her. She was the same fighter she was. She had the flashback against Holly Holm, and she completely crumbled out there.
All right, let's bring in Ramona Shelburne, who's in Las Vegas. And Ramona, you've spent plenty of time with Ronda, and you featured her in the ESPN the magazine, and you came on our show, and you talked about how shaken she was, and now she had to come back. She had to right this wrong, and now this. You're there. What was the scene like?
it was stunning. I mean, it felt like you were waiting for her to start fighting. And she got hit, and it was very similar to the home fight where I saw it, I was so close to it, and you saw that first punch hit her. And you know, Scott, you've seen enough fights. Like, when somebody loses, it's how they get back in the octagon and take that first punch. And after she took that first punch, she kept going, but you didn't feel that same ferocity that she used to have. I just felt like I was waiting for her to get going, and Amanda Nunes was not. She attacked her, and it was over before it even started. It almost felt like the other end of a Ronda Rousey fight when she used to win in under a minute. To be honest, I keep thinking back on this conversation I had with Dana White right before the fight. I said, Dana, what do you think? How you feeling? And he goes, I just went back there and saw her. And this was earlier in the night, and he goes, it was like church back there. It was really quiet. And he was like, what's going on in here? Is anybody talking? And apparently that's how they wanted it. But I said, Dana, is that how it normally is when Ronda's getting ready for a fight? And he goes, no, it's usually a little more relaxed. And so I don't know what that means, but it just seems like maybe in some ways when you take something so seriously, there has to be a moment when you do finally relax. And I didn't see it at all.
Ramona, I'm not asking you to tell me what she thinks because you don't know. But again, having spent time with her and focusing so much on what this outcome would mean, what do you sense this outcome means moving forward?
I think it means a lot. I mean, you know, if she wasn't going to fight that many more fights anyway, right? Even if she would have won this fight, I think there was only one, maybe two more fights in her future because she was already kind of to this place where there wasn't much for her to prove. There wasn't much for her to accomplish. She wanted to fight Holly Holm again and right that wrong, but you know, who else is there for her to fight that she wants to prove? And I think, Scott, like it comes back to when fighters come up, they have this hunger. There's a reason why they're fighting where you don't have to ask them why they're fighting. And the whole time I was reporting this one and asking her that was the question. Why are you doing this again? Why do you want to fight? And she was searching for answers, and she came up with a pretty good one, which is I'm fighting for pride and for legacy and for people to show people you can come back from anything. But even asking the question, that tells you sort of where she was in her life.
Ramona Shelburne, Las Vegas. Ramona, thank you. As Gilbert, as we're listening to Ramona say this, you're smiling and you're nodding your head. What was it that struck your ear and you thought, yeah?
Yeah, well, you know, fighters always reach this point. You reach your goals and you figure out what's your why. You know, why am I doing this? You reach all the goals. So what is lighting your fire? Why are you motivated? You made your money. You made your splash on the world. You're doing movies. You know, what's there to gain right here? And of course, she's saying her pride and all this stuff, but it's
$3 million
hard. Exactly, and $3 million. but that's tough to bounce back from. Once she said it was quiet in the dressing room right there. You know, it's obviously she lost some confidence. You know, and when you're confident, you're bouncing around, you're excited to fight, and you believe you're going to beat anyone. And obviously in that room, she was concerned. Her whole corner was concerned, and the lack of confidence it can be crucial in a fight.
This is a friend. You've made that clear. If you were speaking to Ronda Rousey, what would you tell her?
I would tell her the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Look, she is in the same gym, and a lot of her training is hitting mitts. And I have wondered, well, what did she do differently for this fight? She hit the mitts harder. She hit the mitts in a different fashion. I think that it's time to mix it up. And listen, it's really nice to hear what people say about you. It's really nice to read those things. It's a big problem when you start to believe it. And we bring up the $3 million. Listen, there is an expression, a rich man cannot fight. There is a difference in getting out of bed when you're wearing silk pajamas and doing road work at 5 in the morning and getting up when you need to feed your family and you're willing to run up that hill to get yourself in shape. And that's what we saw with Amanda. We saw someone who's hungry and striving and trying to get there versus somebody that's climbed the mountain so many times and done such a great job. The discipline and the hunger appears to be different.
I want to at least ask a question about Nunes here. Do we learn more tonight about her? Because I feel like what we're saying here is what we really learned is that maybe it ought to be the end for Rousey. What do we learn about the champ?
Yeah, well, we learned there is a blueprint to beat Rousey now. And we learned that Amanda Nunes is a beast out there. She is a savage, and she's proving her point right there. And she's one of the best in the world. You know, though she has lost, and it makes the weight class interesting, and way more women are getting involved in this division. But she is definitely a force to be reckoned with, but there's a lot of talent in that division.
She's so good, man. I don't want to fight that girl. Listen, she comes across the ring. She appears to be as calm as can be. Ronda's great at getting people's heads from the weigh-ins to the press to everything. Amanda had a look of confidence the whole time. Now, so did Ronda. That's what was intriguing about this. But Amanda walked in there, and she did what she does. She used her style. She didn't try to copy Holly Holm. She didn't try to take a blueprint from anybody else. She danced with the one that brought her. She went out. She used that jab. She followed up with a cross. She kept just enough distance to keep finding those shots. I was very impressed with what she did, and she is the king of that mountain right now.
The fun thing about sports, whatever sports, is when we spoke earlier about all the things we might talk about, the one thing we didn't talk about is the one thing that happened. The blueprint that exists and the fact that Rousey gets knocked out again. Fellas, appreciate the time, the context, and your level of expertise.
We got nowhere else to be.
Thank you.
Well, but
Happy New Year.
I appreciate you being here. Thank you, boys.
Thank you.
All right, we have
An audience, it wouldn't be close that Ronda Rousey would catch a beat down. And I know it just kills you to admit it, but Big Cat, you were right.
It is actually a little bittersweet, but it happened exactly as I thought it would. We're going to have complete post-fight coverage. Ronda Rousey done in 48 seconds in her return tonight. She didn't make $3 million in her return, but it's the last time we will see her. Let's go to Las Vegas. UFC 207, and there's Ronda Rousey. She looked great. Cut up, better shape. But Amanda Nunes, she said, I'm the champion. The stare down. The fist touched, and then Amanda Nunes' fist touched Ronda Rousey, and it was not close. It was one punch after another. It was apparent Ronda Rousey wanted no part of the octagon, wanted no part of Amanda Nunes, and she loses for the second fight in a row, 13 months apart. And Ronda Rousey, devastation. By the way, Amanda Nunes, $100 grand to fight, $100 grand to win. Ronda Rousey, $3 million base tonight in Las Vegas. Let's bring in our ESPN MMA insider, Brett Okamoto. He is the author of TKO Okamoto every Tuesday on SportsCenter. Brett, you were there, Octagon side, on Friday night. What was the reaction from the crowd that was actually in T-Mobile Arena to the devastating knockout of Ronda Rousey?
I think it was similar to what we saw last year in Melbourne, Australia, when she was knocked out by Holly Holm. It was also a similar in how the fight went. You just knew that it's done, it's over. You knew it before even the referee stepped in and stopped the fight, that she just didn't have what it was going to take to beat Amanda Nunes tonight. She did not react well to getting hit. That was a problem against Holly Holm, and it was a problem again here. She's a judo player who needs to get that high clinch to reach forward. She tried to do it a couple times, but Amanda Nunes was smart to it. She knew that it was coming, and if you know what's coming, this sport is a heck of a lot easier.
Brett, I had two predictions on First Take Friday morning. One, it would be a devastating knockout. That happened. My other was that Ronda Rousey would retire after getting knocked out. What do you think the future is for Ronda Rousey?
It's very fresh, Coach, so, you don't want to jump to conclusions, but I have a hard time ever seeing Ronda Rousey come back from this. We were wondering if she truly wanted to be here this fight week. She didn't participate in any press conferences. She wasn't speaking to the media. She looked like her old self. She looked like she was in great shape, but, given the fact of how the fight went tonight, I don't really see her returning. If she does, I think she needs to make big changes to how she's preparing for these fights, because she looked like the same woman who lost to Holly Holm last year.
Ronda Rousey, 48 seconds, knocked out by the champ, Amanda Nunes, the very latest from Las Vegas. He is Brett Okamoto. Now, this one on Friday night was all Amanda Nunes from the start. She outlanded Rousey 27-7, according to Fight Metric, with 23 of those strikes to Rousey's head. It was the 6th UFC first round and win for Nunes, the most in women's bantamweight history. Let's bring in now the guys, Chael Sonnen and Gilbert Melendez, here in studio in Bristol. And Chael, I'll start with you. We watched the fight together, and to say this was a mismatch would be an understatement. But I think it goes very much deeper than that. What did you make of Ronda Rousey, her approach, and what you saw from her in the octagon Friday night?
Coach, I thought in the first 30 seconds, we were going to know, is Ronda back? Not is she going to win the fight, but is she going to bring her skills and go out there and do what she does so well? We're going to find that out if she can get to the clinch. Now, she wants to get the fight to the ground. She's got to start with the clinch. To get to the clinch, she's got to get through those strikes of Amanda Nunes. She needs to step into that fire, step into the danger zone, deal with those punches. The reason that's relevant is when she got knocked out by Holly Holm, they say a fighter's never the same after a knockout. What that really means is the psychology of the fighter changes. They worry, they have flashbacks. I don't want this to happen again. That can paralyze their abilities. We knew right out of the gate that that was the case with Ronda Rousey. Amanda went out, she touched her early, she touched her again. She reinforced those negative thoughts that Ronda had in her mind, and Ronda was never able to get off the starting block.
I think the word I like that you used right there was paralyzed, because once she got hit once square, it was cover up and there was no attacking. So it became target practice for Amanda Nunes. What did you see from the champ that was so impressive, Gilbert, for you?
Well, what I saw with the champ was, yes, there was a blueprint how to beat Ronda Rousey, and that was to stick and move. But even though the stick and move was a strategy she could use, she decided to come at the champ. She blasted her with a mean jab, and she saw the weakness in Ronda Rousey, and then she pounced on her with a bunch of punches, but still was able to keep a good enough, comfortable distance to not let Ronda Rousey get the clinch. But didn't run away from her, kept the pressure, and went for the kill the whole time. It was very impressive, and she is a killer, and she's going to be a force to be reckoned with in this division.
A lot of us were shocked when the numbers came out from the Nevada State Athletic Commission on the fact that Ronda Rousey base salary on Friday night tied Conor McGregor for the highest of all time at $3 million, and Amanda Nunes got $100,000 and then $100,000 for the win. Tell me why it was so high, and because it was so high, Chael, the fact it had to be against the champ.
Yeah, so Ronda's a big star. She's the one that's bringing the attraction. So capitalism and free market simply says she's going to make more money. Now, to your second part, and this is a more relevant point that people need to follow here. When you're making $3 million, you have to be the main event. You have to headline the card. When you're headlining a card, you have to take on the best that they have available. You don't get a can. You don't get a favorable opponent when you're making $3 million a contest. She had to take on Amanda Nunes. When Ronda Rousey or any athlete has been out for 14 months and is coming off of the most devastating defeat of their career, that is a very tall order. Coaches, human beings, we don't get better at something by not doing it. Ronda lost, didn't do it, and then we were supposed to make believe that she could come in and be even better the second go around. That just isn't what we know about ourselves as people.
Here's the thing that people at home need to understand, because right now Twitter is going absolutely bonkers with reaction, some good, some bad. She'll be back. You are both fighters. How many careers end on an uptick? Because these are situations that almost every fighter goes through, but she's such a polarizing star. I think there's more reaction. Gilbert, what's next? What's her future?
I don't know if she's going to ever come back to the sport of mixed martial arts. And like you said, not many fighters go out on top as champions. It's happened, but not many. What's next for her is she has to go back to the table and she has to figure out, do I want to do this? And if she does want to do this, I think it's important for, no disrespect to her camp, but she needs to change camps, or she needs to try something different. Maybe keep her coach in there, but I was just so disappointed that we saw the same exact Ronda Rousey. There was no footwork. There was no head movement. There was nothing different. There's no parrying punches. It was the exact same Ronda. I had an excuses for her against Holly Holm. She stepped up for the company when Robbie Lawler pulled out. She did a favor for the company. This time she did no media. She had 14 months off, did everything her way, so there's no excuses, and she couldn't deliver out there. So I think for her to come back, she needs to want to, which I don't think she wanted to be in there, and she needs to change camps and reinvent herself.
Well, I can say this. There was a lot of interest in UFC 207, and for that, I think it was a success. But I think we've seen the end of one of the most polarizing, successful, which means successful female athletes of all time. Chael Sonnen, Gilbert Melendez. I'm the coach. That's UFC 207. Kev. In a 48-second knockout of Ronda Rousey. Excited? Yeah, you can say so. The main event of UFC 207, sitting 2016 out in style. Brett Okamoto with the champ.
Thanks, Coach. And Amanda, what an amazing night for you. It seemed like you knew it pretty early. The fight only lasted 48 seconds, but it seemed like you knew pretty early on that you had this fight well in control.
Yeah, when I connect to her, my jab, I know she's going to go down and happen.
What were you expecting out of her? We hadn't seen her for a year. With the way that the Holly Holm fight went, we know that she's a judo player. She likes to get in that clinch. But what strategically were you expecting out of Rousey tonight?
Yeah, I expect that strategy, you know. Also, I train for everything she brings that night, today. And if she, come forward, try to take me down, if she respects it, I'll be ready for everything. And only, take my time and then connect some punches.
Were you surprised at all that she didn't do anything different from the home loss? It seemed like she should have learned something from that, but it seemed like she was sort of the same fighter as well. Were you surprised that she didn't do anything differently?
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised because I'm an intelligent fighter. You know, I want to evolve all the time. And always when I see some things wrong with my evolution, I try to make some changes. See my gym, my coach, and around me, see where is the mistakes. And I feel like she don't know those things. She's not a real fighter. You know, if she don't know how to make some changes in her game, she's not a real fighter.
And after the fight, you said, forget the Ronda Rousey nonsense, I believe were your exact words. What did you mean by forget Rousey nonsense?
No, forget. I say, like, let's stop this Ronda Rousey nonsense. Because this card was everything about her. I'm the champion, and it was everything about her. I don't understand why, you know. It's supposed to be everything about the champion, about the best in the world. Why Ronda Rousey stopped a year, then come back have everything, you know, like it's nothing happened. No, this is not right.
Well, you won the title at UFC 200, defended it now against Ronda Rousey at 207. Which is the bigger night for you? Can you compare the two?
I think it's pretty even. But this one, like, amazing because I've been training for Ronda Rousey since my pro debut in UFC, my debut in UFC. And I know one day we're going to fight her. And I didn't even know it's going to be amazing like that, you know. And it was amazing.
Well, first round knockout. Congratulations so much. Amanda Nunes, the champ, Sportscenter. Back to you guys.
Brett, you are the man. Amanda, congratulations. Yeah, it's supposed to be about the champ, isn't it? It's about the champion. This one was all about the champ. Amanda Nunes outlanded Rousey 27-7. I don't know where the 7 were, to be honest. According to Fight Metrics, 23 of those strikes to Rousey's head. I saw all of those. It was the 6th UFC first-round win for Nunes, the most in women's bantamweight history. Fight fans understand she is going to be champion for a while. She is nasty. Stop.